Hi class 5, this is the book The Science Factor and we are going to solve the chapter number 6, Light and Sound. What is light and what is sound? Both light and sound are the forms of energy. Meet Albert Einstein, who lived in the last century. He is famous for his theory of relativity. I am sure you will read about it in your future classes. Physics was his passion and he was given the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1921. Here he is going to tell you about the matter. Hello. It will be my endeavor to get you interested in this marvelous field of science known as physics. Albert Einstein was very famous for his theory of relativity. He actually gave us the speed of light and he gave very famous equation E is equal to mc square. Now we start the reading. Light. Light is the form of energy which help us to see. So we see things around the world with the help of light. If there is no light, there will be darkness, and when there will be darkness, we will not be able to see things. Sources of light. Some of the light we get come from the natural sources. Other light come from artificial sources. The sun is our major source of natural light. Though at night we get some light from the other natural sources such as the moon and the stars. Artificial sources include electric lights, gas lights and candles. So some of the light we get is from natural sources, and sun is the most biggest source of natural light. And artificial sources include electric lights, bulbs and candles. Luminous and non-luminous objects. Luminous objects are those that give out their own light. For example, sun is having its own light, fire and a candle are the luminous objects. The objects that do not have their own light are called as non-luminous objects. For example, a book, the moon and a door. The moon is brighter but it take its light from the sun. We can see non-luminous objects because of light from the luminous objects. Now we have an activity that light travels in a straight line. This activity will able you to take decisions whether how light travels. To do this experiment, you need 4 cardboards and you have to make a hole in all the 4 cardboards. Now use the ruler and pencil to mark the center of each piece of card. Use the hole punch to make a hole in the center of each piece of card. Ask a friend to hold the torch at one end of the card and turn it on. Move the card slightly so the holes are no longer in line. Now repeat the experiment for more than one time. The observation you will get are the light will appear through the last hole when the cards are in line, but when you place a book or anything in them or displace the lines, the light will not transfer in straight line. So this proves that light always travel in straight line. What is a shadow? When something gets in the way, the light is blocked. This is how a shadow is formed. जब भी कोई ओपेक ऑब्जेक्ट को हम लाइट के पाथ में प्लेस करते हैं तो क्या होता है, एक शेडो बनता है. ड्यूरिंग द डे व्हेन शेडोज आर फॉर्म्ड बाय सनलाइट वी कैन एस्टिमेट द टाइम ऑफ द डे. एज द सन मूव्स थ्रू द डे सो डज द शेडो. जैसे जैसे सन जो है वो थ्रू द डे मूव करता है, ऐसे ऐसे ही शेडोज मूव करते हैं. If the sun is on the right of the object, the shadow will be on the left. If the sun is on the left, the shadow will be on the right. And if the sun is on the top, the shadow will be in the feet. And near the beginning and the end of the day, when the sun is rising or setting, your shadow will be at its longer. And but on opposite sides. And in the exact middle of the day, your shadow will be smallest and just around your feet. जब जो है बिगिनिंग और एंडिंग ऑफ द डे पे जो है वो शेडोज़ जो होते हैं वो बहुत ज़्यादा लॉन्गेस्ट होते हैं, एंड इन ऑपोजिट जो है वो बिल्कुल हमारे फीट में आ जाते हैं. लोकेशन, शेप एंड साइज ऑफ अ शेडो. शेडोज आर ऑलवेज फॉर्म्ड इन ऑपोजिट डायरेक्शन फ्रॉम द सोर्स ऑफ लाइट. इफ़ वी आर on left and the light source is on the right, then the shadow will be formed on left. The shape of the shadow is similar to the object that made it. Of course, जैसा object है उसका shadow भी वैसा ही बनेगा. However, the size of the shadow changes if the position or distance of light source is moved. इट डिपेंड्स कि लाइट का सोर्स आपके कितना ऑब्जेक्ट के कितना क्लोज है या कितना दूर है. ऑब्जेक्ट के क्लोज होगा तो जाहिर है शेडो भी डार्कर बनेगा, और ऑब्जेक्ट से दूर हो जाएगा, फार अवे हो जाएगा, तो शेडो भी उस हिसाब से थोड़ा सा लाइटर हो जाएगा. द साइज ऑफ द शेडो डिपेंड्स अपॉन द डिस्टेंस बिटवीन द ऑब्जेक्ट. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल शेडो की फॉर्मेशन किस पे डिपेंड करती है कि लाइट का उस ऑब्जेक्ट से कितना डिस्टेंस है. द क्लोजर द ऑब्जेक्ट द बिगर द शेडो इज़ फॉर्म. जितना ऑब्जेक्ट क्लोजर होगा उतना ही शेडो जो है वो बिगर बनेगा. द साइज ऑल्सो डिपेंड्स अपॉन द डिस्टेंस. एंड साइज किस पे डिपेंड करता है? ऑब्जेक्ट के डिस्टेंस, ऑब्जेक्ट और लाइट के सोर्स के डिस्टेंस पे डिपेंड करता है. द लेंथ ऑफ द शेडो डिपेंड्स अपॉन हाउ लो और लाइट लो और हाई इज़ लाइट सोर्स. और लेंथ किस पे डिपेंड करती है कि लाइट का सोर्स कितना हाई और लो है. हेयर वी हैव एन एग्जाम्पल. द हायर द लाइट सोर्स द शॉर्टर द शेडो. ये लाइट सोर्स हायर है और शेडो जो है वो शॉर्टर है. द लोअर द लाइट सोर्स द लॉन्गर द शेडो. एंड व्हेन द लाइट सोर्स इज डायरेक्टली अबव द ऑब्जेक्ट द शेडो विल बी डायरेक्टली अंडरनीथ. वी कैन क्लियरली सी दैट शेडो इज अंडरनीथ. Here we have some questions. How does light travel? So in the previous experiment we have proved that light travels in straight line. How is the shadow formed? When an opaque object is placed in the path of light, shadows are formed. And what is the difference between luminous and non-luminous objects? So we have read the difference that the objects that give out their own light are called luminous objects, and the objects or that do not give out their own light are called as non-luminous objects. Next we have transparent, opaque and translucent objects. Transparent objects are those that allow complete light to pass through them, which occurs when light is blocked by an object, a shadow is formed. But not all materials block the light. If you hold a piece of paper up to a light source, you will notice that some light comes through. So such materials that allow some light to pass through them are called as translucent object. Examples we have wax paper, frosted glass and some plastic and plastics are translucent. Opaque objects are those that do not allow any light to pass through them. For example, a door, for example, a wall. Look around. Can you see an opaque object? Yes, there are a lot of opaque objects around you. A solid wooden door is opaque object. Light only comes through when the door is open. Opaque objects form clear shadows because no light passes through them. So there is an information for you that the objects that do not allow any light to pass through them form a clear shadow. Tree trunks, humans and chairs are examples of opaque objects. We humans are also examples of opaque objects as light cannot pass through us. Translucent objects cause some light to become scattered onto the background, leaving a shadow that does not represent the exact shape of the object. But instead, translucent objects do not form a very clear shadow. Transparent objects do not cast shadow, and transparent objects do not cast any kind of shadow. Questions we have: what are transparent objects, opaque objects and translucent objects? So transparent objects are those that allow light to pass through them. Opaque objects are those that do not allow any light to pass through them. And translucent objects are those that allow some light to pass through them. What kind of glass is windscreen of a car made of? Can you explain? Yes, we can explain. These are made of laminated safety glass which consist of two curved sheets of glass with a plastic layer. They are laminated safety glass. They are covered with sheets of glass and plastic layer. So they may protect us from harm. On the page number 65, we have an interesting activity. The activity is that complete the table by ticking the correct boxes. You have to tick the correct box. We have materials and we have to tell that whether this material is transparent, translucent or opaque. So tissue paper is translucent, chart paper is translucent, cloth is translucent, tracing paper is translucent, foil is opaque and glass window is transparent. That was a brief introduction of light and sound, and remaining topics will be discussed later.